With the Super Bowl in the books and the NFL Combine just 2 weeks away, the Carolina Panthers are still nowhere close to deciding who they're going to take with the 8th pick or if they're even going to pick with that 8th pick. But right now, the smart money is on taking a edge rusher, whether it be Abdul Carter or someone less. Would you be surprised that the Carolina Panthers are not in the business of trading this pick?
I don't believe anything.
Well, believe it. But I'm going to show you why they should trade this pick and how it could actually be more beneficial than actually taking the 8th selection. Want to find out how? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, all you growlers and prowlers. Thank you so much for joining us yet on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo here. And I hope you guys are doing great. Hope you had a great Valentine's Day, as did I. And hope you guys are doing excellent out there as we are getting close to finding out what we need to find out about the prospects that are going to be in the 2025 NFL Draft. I don't have any housekeeping to do on this edition, but I will say this: I do have an unknown sub out there. So if any of you guys are subscribing to the show, please make sure you put your name down in the comments, and as well, make sure you comment on what you think of the Panthers and their selection. On this episode, this will be the Panthers Mock Draft 2.0. As many of you know, I am a trade down kind of a guy, because ultimately, many of you who agreed that we should have gotten confidence, ultimately, there have been some drafts where we've been able to get some of these top-notch talented players, but unfortunately, more often than not, we have not been able to get these talented players. So it's been a slippery slope when it comes to these players that are top-notch type talented players, such as the Abdul Carters and the Mason Grahams. I've gone through, and I will say this: Pro Football has gotten it very much accurately as far as the ups and downs, the slides, and the draft stock rising of these players. I've seen many players in the last week or so that has just absolutely astronomically gone through the roof, as I thought they would. You're seeing Xavier Watts' stock just absolutely go up. You're seeing guys like even Marcus and Bo go up. Maxwell Hairston's stock is going up. Guys like Alfred Collins, who is down at the bottom, and I'm even seeing Jared Feinberg, who said that he thinks the Panthers can procure him with the third round pick. I don't think so. I think his stock is going to keep going up. But many of you don't know who he is. Xavier Restrepo was a guy who was a high second round grade. He's come down to the third round. You've seen guys like Denzel Burke stay steady. Tate Ratledge from Georgia, his stock is going up as a guard out of Georgia. Jared Ivey, who was a guy who was ranked one of the, 121, fourth round pick. He's now slid his way into the second round. Shamar Turner, a defensive tackle who, as a guy I would love for us to get. 6'4", 300 pounds, has the ability to play multiple positions. Even though he played in a 4-3 at Texas A&M, has ability to play in multiple positions. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, you guys, is because many of the ones like NFL Mock Draft Database, one that I was using last year, the trades are not realistic and they're not the best at ranking as well. They've got a couple of guys that are ranked high that should not be. And as I said, many of you guys that are using those, do not mess with those. To me, Pro Football's mock draft simulator is the most accurate. Now, as far as Who they're going to take, that's another story. Like in the current draft that I'm doing right now, they've got Abdul Carter going to the Patriots. You've got Mason Graham going to the Jets. Even Cam Ward going to the Raiders. Browns taking Tetero McMillan. Travis Hunter going to the Giants. And everybody pretty much staying put, but they're just taking their guys. Of course, the Patriots take Abdul Carter. That's a huge look for me. And the Giants selecting Travis Hunter, I guess they're saying, okay, they're not sold on Cam Ward. And that's big considering Cam Ward came out and said what he said today. I'll remember. So, yeah, that's huge news. But as I said, I went through and traded a lot of the Carolina Panthers. I did a lot of trading, wheeling and dealing in this draft, which led us to have a first in the 2026 draft. Basically, we'll have 2 firsts, and we'll have a 6th round pick, an extra 6. And we have all the picks that we have, so we get 2 extra picks, including a first. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, does Dave Canellis have time to sit around and have another first round pick? That's a topic for another show. But ultimately, I'm always a guy that says, look, if I can't get what I want in this draft, I'm a guy that I want to be able to get certain assets so that I can win in the next draft. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, what if the draft doesn't have anything? Well, guess what? You're going to have at least 30 players that are, well, let me phrase it. You're going to have at least 10 to 15 players that are immediate superstars. Well, stars. Then you're going to have those 5 that are going to be immediate right off the rip. And then you're going to have about 30 that are going to be potential perennial Pro Bowlers almost every year. But you can get as many picks in those. You can get as many of those picks right there. So I'm always one of those guys. Look, if I can't get what I want, I'm going to go to the next level and attempt to get more of those picks next season. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, then how are you going to get the team next year? Well, that's kind of where you just have to hope that the rubber meets the road in a lot of ways. But ultimately, I think I did this draft pretty well. And I'm still learning, you guys, but here's the reality. There are professionals out there that try to play this game, and it is much more difficult than it seems. And the truth of the matter is the deeper you get into this drafting process, you find out how difficult it is and how much more you prepared that you need to be. You have to know your tendencies of the teams that are picking in front of you, and you have to be attentive to that. You can't just go to the team that, okay, they're going to pick the same player I'm going to pick. They're well aware of what you're going to do. So you got to go before that, beat them a pick before to the punch, and hope that there's not a guy on the board that they covet that is right there. So with the first pick, we took, you guys are gonna lose your minds how late I picked in this draft. I took our first pick at number 42. But before you guys get down on me, I want you to pay attention. I took 5 players in the top 100. And I took 3 players in the top 50. So technically we're picking back to back to back to back. Okay? Now, with our first pick, which was number 42, and the 10th pick in the second round, I went with the 32nd pick of a ranked player in this draft, Jahdae Barron. 5 foot safety out of Texas, 5'11", 200 pounds. Barron has emerged as the top prospect in his class. Now, that is debatable. That is debatable because if many of you guys know me, I am enamored with Nick Eamon-Rory out of South Carolina. This dude is the prototypical guy. And they saw comparisons of him. Call it what you want. The Panthers organization mismanaged Jeremy Chinn after year 1. They compare Eamon-Rory to Jeremy Chinn and Kyle Hamilton. That's a pretty darn impressive comparison. Remember, they even mismanaged Kyle Hamilton. Organizations were saying that there was a problem with Kyle. Whatever it was, I don't know whether it was the total just debacle of the safety position or whatnot, whatever you want to call it. But the reality of it is, Nick Eamon-Rory is falling down this board, and this guy is absolutely great. Now, even though we're not going to get this guy, which I'm going to work towards seeing that maybe if we could trade down and get some good quality moves yeah, we could possibly do that. And that's another thing, guys. I've done hundreds of these, whether it's for the Panther, for us, or for other teams. These things go differently every single time once you get past the first 2 to 3 picks. And sometimes the first 2 to 3 picks is not a guarantee. But back here, we're looking at Jahdae Barron. He was considered the best prospect in his class. And honestly, Nick Emanwari has gone past that. And this is before the combine. I still think with his size, he is just absolutely that dude. But anyway, they say he's the best. Barron is known for his ball skills, tackling, and instincts, which is over the top. But I think Barron gets more attention because the Texas Longhorns had such a deep run in the college football playoff, whereas Emanwari, we didn't get a second level sample size of what this kid can do. I think that South Carolina defense overall was one of the best. He currently holds a second round grade and projects as a promising nickel cornerback at the next level. That would be huge for us. We could play in these 2 safety positions and run man-to-man and run these 1 deep cover ones, and that would allow us to blitz even more efficiently, especially with him being able to cover in the slot. But as I said before, Emanwari is my guy, but if we can't get him, we can't procure his services, this would be probably the second best move we can make. Then we ended up following up with the 43rd pick after a little bit of wheeling and dealing by myself, and we were able to procure the 38th ranked player in this draft. 6'5", 281 pound. Can you say Myles Garrett 2.0?
Damn, I'm good.
What you think about that? Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Same size, same exact measurements. Stewart's rare blends of size and explosiveness makes him a tantalizing fit for most defenses. His versatility allows him to line up as an edge rusher or 5 technique. Ain't that beautiful? Ain't that beautiful? And it's going to allow me to do something special in this later on in this draft. And it will allow me to do something different because there's another player that I'm actually enamored with in this draft if we can get him. His versatility allows him to line up as a 5 technique. Despite his power, he moves fluidly enough to drop into coverage, making him a potential game changer in multiple roles. His presence could elevate any already formidable front. This dude is good against the run too. So he's not like he's just a 2-down guy. He can rush the passer and provide us with the strength that we need. And he can line up on the inside. That's what it said. You could put Derek Brown at times on the nose and put him on that outside. Whoo! I ain't done. But guys, I'm just getting started. Next, we moved to the 49th pick when I did some wheeling and dealing. And we were able to procure, as you guys know, I'm not big on going out and getting a cornerback. But unfortunately, that's what I had to do because this guy was sitting there and it was just too good to pass up. The 43rd player ranked in the draft. I like big, tall, physical corners, but this guy, if we get Barron and we can put this guy here on the outside, that would be great. And coupled with Mike Jackson. Trey Amos. Trey Amos is a gifted cornerback with the tools to be a long-term starter. At 6 foot, 195 pounds, his athleticism and his frame make him an intriguing prospect. And with the right development, he has the potential to thrive at the next level. While refining his eye discipline will be his key, his natural talent and upside could make him a valuable addition, especially for a team in need of help on the outside. Now, looking at the film on Trey Amos, I like what I see, but unfortunately, it's got to be a lot of pressure to get this guy. Like I said, his eye discipline's got to be better. He's got great athleticism on the ball. But the realistic aspect of it is I took him because they say that was the most important position, and he was one of the top-level players that we had. Ultimately, I'm a guy that thinks this defensive line needs an absolute makeover. That is the only. I mean, everybody's talking about safety, and like I said, I got Barron, which I should have been enough. I should have went and said, hey, look, we're going to get another big guy and go in there. But you can't get them all right. And then with number 92, continuing the rebuild of our safety room, I went and got, with the 92nd pick, I know a lot of you say, God, goodness, where did you go with all the picks? Listen, I'm doing my best. This is not as easy as it looks. Everybody sits there and they say, oh, we're going to go through a mock draft. No, and really what they're doing is allowing the simulator to simulate what it is. Because I've seen some simulations go to drafting Jackson Dart. What the heck do we need to draft Jackson Dart in the 3rd round? Do we all remember the Matt Corral thing? And this ain't even a knock on Matt Corral. This is just an absolute fumble. Same thing that Tennessee did with Malik Willis.
Damn you. Dumb shit. Dumb shit.
See, they messed that whole thing up. Horribly messed it up. You go get a guy and then don't even start him. And I know a lot of people say, well, you did say Matt Corral. Matt Corral was a pretty good player. But then you draft up and you don't even give Willis a shot.
What?
Who cares? That's where my problem is.
So?
Yeah, I'm never going to get over that whole Tennessee Malik Willis junk. And now you did the same thing with Will Levis.
Yeah. You fucking idiot.
Not my problem. Not my problem. But looking around, as I said, we were looking at the 92nd pick and able to land on the 85th, currently the 85th pick, and Lathan Ransom. Lathan Ransom is a versatile, instinctive safety with a strong all-around game. At 6'1", 210 pounds, he excels in both coverage and run support, displaying the range to patrol the deep secondary and the physicality to play near the line of scrimmage. Ransom's football IQ and ability to read the quarterback allow him to effectively anticipate routes, disrupt passing lanes. In coverage, he's fluid in his movements and shows strong ball skills, but his tackling technique can sometimes be a concern against the run. His adaptability and leadership on the field make Ransom a potential key contributor on defense, having already shown the ability to learn and improve during his time in college. I think as redoing the safety room, a lot of people will say it's risky having having 2 rookies playing at the safety position. But that's where you have to understand your pass rush is the most important thing. Now, you also have an edge rusher coming in, and then you also have another cornerback that's going to be coming in at the 102nd pick, as I have procured yet another cornerback. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what are you doing getting all of these secondary guys, considering we're going to be very young at that position? Yeah, we're going to be very young in the secondary. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. We need a lot of pass rush. And I get it. This was one of those drafts where it's like I said, it slipped through my fingers. And we were only able to get Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech, at 6'1", 179 yards. Dorian Strong is a skilled, instinctive cornerback who excels in man coverage, hint, hint, but also more than a competent in zone coverages. He possesses fluid hips, quick feet, and strong closing speed, allowing him to stick with receivers and disrupt passing lanes. Strong's ball skills stand out as he consistently tracks the ball and makes plays on it in contested situations. He plays with physicality at the line of scrimmage, using his length effectively to disrupt routes. Strong's football IQ and anticipation enable him to read quarterbacks and jump routes, but can also make him vulnerable if he mistimes the play or double moves. Additionally, adding strength will allow him to handle bigger receivers and further enhance his game as a lockdown defender. Now, many of you are going to ask me, why would I take 2 corners in this situation? Well, needless to say, yes, Barron's going to be that guy that allows you to do that roaming position on 1st and 2nd down when you want to blitz, or you want to bring an extra safety in the box. I think that's a beautiful thing when you can do that. However, you can also go to those go to that dime package and bring in a guy like Strong and match up better. Put him on the outside along with Trey Amos if you wanted to. I mean, you're looking at 2 guys who could play exceptionally well. And then you've got Mike Jackson on the back end. You don't have to throw these guys in there right quick. But let's keep in mind, Mike Jackson could be a quick alternative early on. I would love to see Mike Jackson stay, but as Julian Council said, Mike Jackson's a good replacement, but he's just one of those guys that he's just going to do his job, and that's pretty much all you're going to get out of him. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but that's pretty much all you're going to get. So, it's just one of those where you just have to kind of accept the fact that this is not that dude, whereas you got Strong and you've got Amos, guys that can potentially make plays, and they're very fluid and quick on the back end, and that's exactly what you want these guys to be. You want them to be able to make plays on the ball. And then with the 109th pick, We took the 6'3", 209-pound playmaker out of Maryland. Does that sound familiar? The last time we took a wide receiver out of Maryland? You guys know who I'm talking about. He's in Chi-Town right now. Caden Prather, a third-team All-Big Ten Maryland Terrapins wide receiver, earned the invite to the 2025 Shrine Bowl as an under-the-radar prospect poised for greater national attention. Standing 6'3", 210 pounds after aforementioned, Prather combines size, agility, excelling in spatial awareness, and physicality to make contested catches. Who's that sound like? A bigger version of who? Thought so. His ability to glide through space and adjust in the air could position him as an early day 3 NFL draft contender. I like it. You guys know how I feel about big receivers, especially when Bryce is missing high. I mean, you've got a guy who can calm that down. We're going to have a tight end and possibly sign Tommy Tremble back, another athletic tight end to go with it. So I think this would be a no-brainer here. I think Caden Prather has an opportunity to join this team and add to the under-the-radar weapons that we already have, because Bryce is playing out of his mind right at the end of the season. I think it's only going to get better. Hopefully he and Canellis have scheduled early talks and plans for next season. I know it's just early, but when you want to win, you stay on it. Then we got the 119th pick, a young man out of Central Arkansas who has gotten some serious talk as of late, and he's moved up the board at 6'1", 267 pounds out of Central Arkansas. David Walker, a dynamic, explosive edge rusher with a relentless motor and a knack for creating chaos in the backfield. Pairing him with Shamar Stewart, guys, I love the way this sounds. He displays a quick first step, impressive acceleration, allowing him to pressure quarterbacks consistently. Walker's hands usage and variety of pass rush moves enable him to shed blocks and disrupt plays off the edge. In the run defense, he shows good pursuit angles and the ability to set the edge effectively. His high energy and physicality make him a constant presence on the field. He needs to add strength and refine his techniques as he makes the step up from the FCS to the NFL caliber offensive lineman. This guy, to be 6'1", 267 pounds, listen, at the end of the day, guys, if we can get a guy that can move like this and move exceptionally well and has good hand placement against those tackles and can keep these tackles' hands off of him, could you imagine having DJ Wanham and David Walker as well as Shamar Stewart, big old Shamar Stewart on the opposite side, or just putting him inside and putting these two guys on the outside? Oh my goodness, there's your fix right there, people. Now, I know a lot of you are going to look at me and say, why did you draft like this? Well, I've inherently refixed the line, even though we're going to have growing pains. But this defense already has the makings of being something special. Maybe next year. But they're going to make some noise this year because you've already revamped the defensive line. I've already given you two good fast rushers that are actually pretty good against rush. Shamar Stewart is very good against the run. All that running past guys, that was a problem we had with Brian Burns. No disrespect to him. There were a lot of times Burns was flying so hard off the edge on a run play or a draw play, guys would just take off where he was. Not with Shamar Stewart. Not with David Walker. These guys are disciplined first. Not to mention if you put Stewart on the inside and then you turn around and you put Stewart on the inside, then you take Walker and put him on the outside with DJ Wanham. Y'all tell me I ain't balling out right now. Y'all tell me I ain't drafting this right. I'm telling you, there's some really good gems in this draft, guys. I'm telling you, I found it out. Then with the 132nd pick, I took Darius Alexander. Now, I know a lot of you are going to question, why did you take a tackle when you've already got a guy that has a hybrid type ability? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because Darius Alexander is out of Toledo. He's 6'4", 304 pounds. When you look at a guy like Darius Alexander, who's pretty darn impressive against the run and has some ability to push the pocket, This is what we need. Everybody knows in Coach Avero's 3-4 system, we need rotation. We need deep depth at that position, at those three guys on the front. Now, we've already established that. Even if Jadeveon Clowney's a cap casualty, you still got DJ Johnson, and we've got Amari Barno coming back who didn't play all of last season. We can get these guys on the field and get a consistent rotation at the edge. Doesn't matter who we got on the edge. As long as we can stop the run, we end up in 3rd and longs and we get these athletes on the field. Guys, I'm telling you, we don't have to worry about drafting the 8th pick. Like I said, we took the 42nd pick, 43rd, 49th, and then we're getting the middle of the road where this is a deep draft when it comes to tackle and edge. Not so with the wide receiver position, but I'm telling you straight up, in this draft, the interior players are deep. We can rebuild our group with this draft. Stay with me. Darius Alexander, 6'4", 304 pounds. Then, at the 147th pick, I really like this guy coming out of college. I really loved him. He could really be that 1-2 punch this year. He's really just a bruiser. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what are we going to do with Chuba? Well, here's the thing. Chuba's a good back, but a lot of times we were in 3rd and shorts and nobody was afraid. Chuba's undersized, and I love him to death. Don't take this disrespectfully. But what if we decided we were going to upgrade a little bit? Just a tad bit. And we decided we were going to go, I know, not Cam Scatterbo, but how about a healthy 6 foot, 238 pound running back out of Clemson? I think you know who that is. Phil Maffa. As a Notre Dame fan, guys, this guy ripped us. I mean, he ripped us a new one. Nothing worse than seeing a 230-pound frame suggest he might be bouncing off the heads of the ground, a la Derrick Henry at an NFL level. But here's the thing. The Clemson running back has more to his game than pure violence. Maffa is patient and effective as a zone runner with an eye-catching wiggle to find the crease and make defenders miss. Zone read. Great change of pace. He doesn't have the explosiveness to be a consistent big play creator, but his consistent ability to drive the sled on contact makes him a fun early down and short yardage committee candidate. I agree. Because when you get a defense that's consistently looking for that, where you got to technically tackle a guy, as opposed to a wiggle guy like Chuba Hubbard, you know, you get to, okay, yeah, we can tackle, we can grab Hubbard and get, then you bring Maffa in there, you're like, okay, this ain't that same kind of dude. He's picking up 5 and 6 yard bunches because you got to be technically sound. Ain't going to be none of that, I'm grabbing you here, I'm grabbing you here. He going to take you for a ride. Guys, to me, this is one of those guys you can't let go. 6 foot 238. If he's on the board, we got to snatch him up at 147. And then at 176, a lot of you guys, I just told you I was a Notre Dame fan, but I say we take a shot on this guy because we need depth. And he played in the 3-4. Riley Mills. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. This guy looks undersized for a defensive tackle, but he causes havoc. He gets to the quarterback. He's pretty good against the run, but he's very good getting to the quarterback. He's very nifty and very suave for a guy at 6'5", 295 pounds. A lot of people are going to say he's too light to play tackle. He's quick enough to get away. He makes his share of plays in the backfield. Against guards and centers that are not disciplined in their blocking assignments, he will beat them. We need as many plays and tackles in the backfield as we possibly can because Derek Brown's absence was sorely missed. And we've got to get that back. Like I said, depth at the tackle position is imperative. And like I said, I went heavily on this defense. And the reality of it is we needed it. A lot of people are going to say, well, you didn't just double dip, you triple dipped. Yeah. Okay. Which leads me to the 229th pick in the draft. And many of you are going to say, okay, now you're out of your mind now. A lot of you are going to say that. But I got hybrid guys. I got guys that we could actually use at both positions. Now, Tyler Batty, I watched at BYU. A highly instinctual, physical, robust pass rusher known for his intense awareness and anticipation. As an exceptional run defender with a long frame and powerful playing style, Batty offers NFL teams a reliable high-floor prospect. His mauling mentality and strong foundation will enable him to contribute immediately at the professional level while further developing his passing skills. Another edge guy. Look, you can be upset with me because I potentially dipped in and got potentially 3 edge rushers in this draft. Look, if we can get Jadeveon Clowney's big money off the books, great. Because the reality of it is, we got run defenders now. You just heard me say, we've got 3 edge rushers that can slow down the run. While everybody's talking about the classy stuff, talking about, get Mikael Williams, I am against getting him. When you get a guy in the 8th spot, he's got to be somebody that's going to complete your defense or your offense. All of the guys that are going to do that are going to be gone. And then on top of that, even if it was Mason Graham, I don't think we can find enough players I mean, at this point, I don't think so. I may have to go through the draft again and find those guys. But I think ultimately we're only going to get 3 guys. We need ultimately 5 guys that are going to change this defense. And it's not going to be anybody on the offensive side. That's the reality. We're going to have to accept the fact this is going to be a defensive setted draft. When it was all but a couple of players on offense last year. We have got to set it in. We have got to realize that this is a defensive headed draft. And a lot of people are not going to like what I've done, but ultimately this is the way it's got to be. But as I said, we ended up with 11 draft picks, 3 of them edge rushers, 2 of them interior guys. No, 3 interior guys, 1 of them a hybrid guy. So, as I said, one edge guy is an interior, is a hybrid guy, and one of the interior guys is also a hybrid guy. So, you guys can look at me and say, are you nuts or this, that, and the other? But the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, we got to rebuild the defensive front. And with the corners that I procured, it doesn't do us a bit of good in the safeties that we got. It doesn't do us a bit of good if all we do is get secondary guys and we can't get guys to get guys off the field. Now, Derek Brown is going to come back, but what good does that do us if he doesn't have a group of guys out there that are just as mean and nasty as he is? And you got young guys trying to prove themselves. I think this is almost a slam dunk for the draft that we had. Now, it's probably 90% not going to go this way, but I'm going to go through it again. With the 42nd pick, the Panthers take Jahdae Barron safety out of Texas. With the pick right after that, the 43rd, edge rusher out of Texas A&M, and Myles Garrett 2.0, Shamar Stewart. At the 49th pick, and the 3rd pick for the Carolina Panthers in the second round, they select cornerback out of Ole Miss, Trey Amos. Then with the 3rd round pick, which would be the 92nd pick, the Panthers select safety Lathan Ransom out of Ohio State. Then with the 102nd pick, they select cornerback Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech. Then with the 109th pick, they select the big, tall, speedy Caden Prather, wide receiver out of Maryland. 119th pick, we select physical edge rusher David Walker out of Central Arkansas. With the 132nd pick, we select big body Darius Alexander out of Toledo. Then at the 147th pick, we select Phil Maffa, running back out of Clemson, the big bruiser. Not quite Derrick Henry 2.0, but more like Derrick Henry 1.5. Then we select with the 176th pick, a defensive tackle out of Notre Dame, Riley Mills, continuing to shore up that depth. And finally, with the 229th pick, the Panthers are able to procure Tyler Batty edge rusher out of BYU, a very strong run stopper and playmaker. So, guys, that's what it's going to look like with the Panthers mock draft 2.0, my style. So, as I said, we haven't done a draft where I've actually procured and actually used the top 10 pick, I don't think. But ultimately, guys, I think we're limited if we do that. I mean, you have to ask yourself a question. Do we really want to spend the 8th pick and not procure picks with a draft this loaded? I know what people are going to say, but we want results now. I get it. Mason Graham could be that dude, but you still haven't solved your problem at edge rusher. Maybe I'll do a draft, and maybe once these rankings become clearer, I can come up with more of a formidable plan. I do see that there are some guys in this class that could be great edge rushers if we get a Mason Graham. But the problem is we're not going to be able to procure that many picks down the line. We've only got 7 picks. That's why I said, you guys, winning those 2 games really put a damper on us. So hopefully as this channel grows and you guys start to watch where my madness is, you'll understand that's why it's important. If we're not going anywhere, we don't need to do anything. We just need to settle in and accept the fact that we need to get picks. It's like medicine. You don't like it, but you got to swallow it. Same thing with losses. You got to watch the game, enjoy it somewhat, but then realize even though you're losing, it comes out for the better later. But guys, let me know what you think. That is, do you think we should keep trading down? Do you agree with my strategy to trade down? Do you think Dan Morgan should trade down? Look for as many trade partners as possible until we get to the area of where we get these guys where we want. Do you like Nick Emmanwori as our safety? Or do you think Jahdae Barron is the guy? Tell me what picks you like, which ones you didn't like. Also, make sure you comment when you join the channel, you guys. Make sure you sub and hit the bell notification so that when I have another show, you guys can check it out. I will be trying to do another show on this. Oh, before we get out of here, I want you guys to know that Andy Dalton did re-sign. So, as I said, that leaves us with several free agents to concern ourselves with, such as Tommy Tremble, Shaq Thompson, and Mike Jackson. Our entire safety room is pretty much free agents this year, so that's going to be something that we have to look out for. We got Cade Mays, Austin Corbett, Brady Christensen. These are guys we got to make decisions on. So hopefully the right decisions are going to be made. I think we've got just over $30 million in cap space. But also go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can catch up on all the shenanigans that I will be caught up in. And finally, make sure you go to the Facebook page at Growlin' and Prowlin', and also join the group Growlin' and Prowlin' so you can get all the updates and certain polls that I've already got one up now, what the Panthers should do with the 8th pick. So get in there, take the poll, and I will have the results on a show coming up real soon. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.